When we think of Norway or the Nordics, we usually think of the same things: Northern Lights, cities like Oslo, Bergen, Tromsø, the Flam railways, or maybe a cruise to the North Cape. But let me ask you something. How many Indian travelers have even heard of a place called Honningsvåg? And how many of you know that a highway known as the northernmost road in the world, leading all the way to 71 degrees north latitude, where you are not even allowed to travel alone? Probably very few. Yet this small town sits at the very edge of Europe, far beyond the Arctic Circle, closer to the top of the world than most people will ever go. And today we are going there, and I am taking you along with me to be a part of Norway you won't find in many videos, and one that popular travel vlogs rarely talk about. So let's begin our journey. Hello everyone. So we are now starting our journey from the Northern Lights village in Sarisalka and heading towards a place called Honningsvåg. Today is 27th of October 2025, and we are saying goodbye to a place that was truly special for us. Honestly, this has been one of the most incredible stays of this entire trip, and the experience here was just unforgettable. The time right now is 9:53 a.m. when we are starting, and daylight saving has started, which has increased the time difference between IST and the local time. And today we are looking at a very long journey of about 7 to 8 hours. So, as you can see outside, the weather is mostly overcast, but we do see the sun peeking out through once in a while. And today's vlog is going to be all about this journey itself. Like, it's going to be a very long drive through some of the most scenic roads in the Nordics. And just look at this. We had stopped here just to give way to some of the vehicles, and just look at what speed they are passing. Oh my god. Incredible, just incredible. So our destination today is Honningsvåg, which is in Norway. And I'm pretty sure very few of you would have heard about this place. To be very honest, even I did not know about it until I signed up for this group trip. And we will be crossing the Finland-Norway border today and staying in Norway for the night. So right now we are traveling on the highway number E75, and later we will switch roads before finally entering into E69, which is known as one of the northernmost highways in the world. You might have noticed that I have started mentioning the latitudes whenever I am indicating a place. For example, Sarisalka lies around 68 degree north, and the Arctic Circle, which we crossed at Santa Claus village yesterday, is located at 66 degree north. So before we continue with our journey, let me quickly explain what latitude actually is and why is it so important for us. If you are a geography lover like me, you might already be smiling right now. And for everyone else, let's break this down in a simple way. So latitude tells us how far north or south a place is from the equator, and the further north you travel, the more extreme the changes in daylight and the weather becomes. So places closer to the equator experience almost equal day and night throughout the year, but here at very high latitudes everything changes, and that's why sunsets happen as early as 2 p.m. And in a few weeks from now, this region where we are traveling right now will experience polar nights when the sun doesn't rise at all. And in summer, it's exactly the opposite. Now, lines of latitude are imaginary horizontal lines that wrap around the Earth running from the east to west, and the most important one is the equator located at 0 degrees, which divides the Earth into the northern and the southern hemispheres. As you move away from the equator, the latitude value increases up to 90 degrees in the north at North Pole and 90 degrees south at the South Pole. These lines are called parallels because they never meet and they remain parallel all the way around the planet. And now we are traveling even further north. We will soon be heading towards the North Cape, which lies at around 71 degrees north, well above the Arctic Circle. Just think about that for a moment. We are traveling incredibly close to the top of the world. And that's what makes this trip so special. It's not just about chasing the northern lights, we are actually living the geography, experiencing everything we once read about in our school textbooks. I hope this makes the idea of latitude a little clear. The snow that you are seeing here is a day old, maybe, because yesterday evening it did not snow at all, and in fact, it had rained through most of the night. So that's why you will notice some bare patches along the side of the road. The rain has actually melted much of the snow, and the sky is still pretty overcast. And it might look darker than usual, so pardon that tinted glass of the bus that's making it appear gloomier than it actually is. But we are still hopeful. Since we are heading further north towards Honenswag, there's a good chance we might be able to see the northern lights once again. So, the entire itinerary of the trip has been designed in such a way that we stay in remote, less populated areas far away from the light pollution, giving us much better chances of witnessing the aurora. And that's why you will see us visiting many such northernmost towns along this route. So, inside the bus, the temperature is quite comfortable. We don't really need any kind of a heavy winter clothing right now, but outside it's pretty cold. The landscape is just too stunning. You can see these serpentine rivers, like tiny rivers cutting through this land, and there is miles and miles of open spaces with hardly any sign of habitation. So today sunset is around 3 p.m. and by the time we will reach Honenswag, it will be evening. If not even completely dark, but definitely it will be evening time. So as we travel further north, evenings arrive much earlier. And we have read about all of this in the school books about shorter days, longer nights, and life in the Arctic. And now we are actually experiencing every bit of it. So, in a few days, these areas to which we are now going will experience something called as a polar nights. So that's when the sun usually don't rise at all. There's a faint bluish glow on the sky on the horizon, and then in the summer month it will be just the opposite when the sun doesn't set at all. So very interesting kind of a phenomena happens. Anyone who is planning to travel in the month of November or December, they will actually get to experience this phenomenon. So now let me quickly explain the route we will be taking today. So we started from the Northern Lights village in Sarisalka, and from here we joined the highways E75. We will be traveling on the E75 for quite a long stretch. As you can see on the map, E75 runs all the way down and takes us towards Lake Inari, or Inari Jarvi as it's locally known. This is one of the largest lakes in Finland, and we will be following this road all the way until we reach Inari. At Inari, we will take a short break probably, and then we will continue our journey further on the E75. From this point onwards, we approach the Finland-Norway border, and you will notice something interesting here. There is no traditional border control. Finland is called as Suomi, Norway is Norge, and crossing between the two is as simple as driving over a bridge. Once we enter Norway, we will briefly take Road 92, which runs along a beautiful river for a while. Soon after, we join Highway E6, which is one of Norway's main north-south highways. We will continue on E6 heading north until we reach a place called the Oldefjords. At Oldefjord, instead of continuing straight on E6, we will take a right, and this is where the journey gets really exciting. From here, we enter Highway E69, which is considered one of the northernmost roads in the world. E69 takes us further and further north, passing through dramatic landscapes, fjords, and multiple undersea tunnels because this region is made up of several islands connected beneath the sea. One of these tunnels is among the longest in the region, linking the mainland to Magerua Island. I hope I am pronouncing it correctly. And finally, after crossing the fjords, tunnels, and winding Arctic roads, we will reach our destination for today, which is Honenswag. By the time it will be already evening. Also, this is the same road E69 that will also take us to the North Cape tomorrow.
গুড মর্নিং, আমি পিনাকি বলছি ট্রাভেল লাইফের তরফ থেকে। এখন যে রাস্তা দিয়ে যাচ্ছি, দিস ইজ E79 রাস্তা, এবং এখন যে ছোট্ট একটা শহরে আছি, ইটস কল্ড টাউন, এটা হচ্ছে ইভালো। গুড থিং যে এখন দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে সূর্য প্রথম আমাদের সাথে দেখা করলেন, হালকা করে হলেও, বাট একটা গুড সাইন। অ্যান্ড হনিন্সব্যাগে যা আজকে প্রোডিকশন দেখা যাচ্ছে, বেটার চান্স। নদীটা যাচ্ছে ইভালো রিভার, আমরা ক্রস করছি। ইভালোর একটা এয়ারপোর্টও আছে, ইভালো থেকে ফ্লাই করা যায় ডেফিনেটলি টু মেনি প্লেসেস ইন নরওয়ে। লেটস এনজয় টুডে। দারুণ জায়গা, দারুণ সময়। খালি ভাববেন, ভূগোল ছেড়ে দিন, নিজে নিজেই ভাবুন ছোটোবেলায় যখন ভূগোলের ওই বড় যে অ্যাটলাসটা দেখতাম, তখন কি অদ্ভুত লাগতো, এরকম ঘুরিয়ে ঘুরিয়ে দেখতাম। এইখানে যাওয়া যাচ্ছে, এখানে সাদা জায়গা, ওটাতে সবুজ জায়গা আঁকা থাকতো, তো অদ্ভুত। সে এতটা অনেকটা ঘুরে নিয়ে আমরা এখন মাথার ওপর দিকে যাচ্ছি, আর সামান্য দূরে হচ্ছে নর্থ পোল। আনবিলিভেবল। লেটস এনজয় সবাই একসাথে একভাবে। আমরা তুন্দ্রার দিকে এগোবো। এই ট্রানজিশনটা অপূর্ব লাগবে, এবং তুন্দ্রা আসা মানে তখন দেখবেন পাহাড়, ছোট ছোট পাহাড়, যে পাহাড়গুলো আছে সেগুলো তার স্নো ক্যাপড মাউন্টেনও দেখতে পাবেন বেশ কিছুটা। নরওয়ে মানে হচ্ছে মাউন্টেন অ্যান্ড ফিয়র্ডসের জায়গা, কারণ এই ট্রিপের মেইন জিনিস হচ্ছে রাস্তা, এই যে সিনিক এভিনিউ, এই সিনিক এভিনিউ দিয়ে পরতে পরতে যে বিস্ময়গুলো থাকে সেগুলোকেই নেওয়া।
We are now approaching the fringes of Lake Inari, one of the most significant lakes in Finland. And this is located deep inside Lapland. It's the third largest and the second deepest lake in the country. Lake Inari is vast and dramatic. It features over 3,300 islands. It's also known as the Sami Sea, and this lake holds deep cultural importance for the Sami people. It's said that you can travel on this lake for days without seeing another person, which really shows how remote and untouched this region is. And this lake is also the number one in Finland for trout fishing, making it incredibly important both for local life and traditions. Also, another fact, the water quality here is excellent. The water is so clean and clear and pure that it's actually drinkable.
Oh wow.
There's a really interesting phenomena happening here. On the right hand side, we can see the lake is completely frozen, while people who are sitting on the left are seeing that the water is still not frozen at all. It's so fascinating to see such a contrast in the same lake at the same time. And moments like this show you how unique this terrain and environment are and how lucky we are to witness it. On the right hand side, you can see Hotel Inari, and on the left hand side, there's a K supermarket. We will be taking a short washroom break here and quickly check out the store. So we have covered almost 70 kilometers from Sariselka, and this is our first break of the day, and we still have almost 300 kilometers to go. So there is only one washroom in this K supermarket, and we are a group of 41 people. So there's no separate washroom for men and women, and it's, I think, going to take a bit of time. So initially they had given 20 minutes, but I think it's going to take a bit more time. Meanwhile, let me show you around this supermarket and give you a quick look at what the prices are. All these freshly baked items are priced between 0.5 euros to 2 euros. And as I had mentioned earlier, the KPL written on each item means the price per piece. Everything here looks absolutely delicious, and if you are having a sweet tooth, it's going to be really hard to resist. You can't feel it through the video, but the aroma here is just too amazing. And they also have some traditional Finnish bakes like the Karelian pie, the same one that we got at the hotel earlier. Personally, I did not like it, but it's interesting to see that it's also available here. So these are mostly rye breads and different varieties of other breads that you see over here. I personally love the rye bread. It's nice and crusty and yet very flavorful. So there's a wide variety available here, and if you look at the prices, most of these breads are priced between 2 to 4 euros, which is quite fine, which is quite reasonable. So moving ahead, you will see different kind of cold cuts priced roughly between 3 to 5 euros, and there are also a variety of sauces and spreads, mostly in the range of 2 to 3 euro. Then these cups are quite interesting. They look like the traditional wooden cups. Possibly it's like the Sami design, I don't know. Here there are spices and seasoning. And this supermarket actually looks very similar to the one we saw in Helsinki the night we boarded the Santa Claus Express, if you remember. The layout and the arrangement is almost the same. Despite being a very small town, it's extremely well stocked, and I feel much of the town depends on this store. And look at how colorful the shelves are. There are so many options. So there are cups, Sami inspired designs, different everyday essentials, everything is there. And here you can see some ready-made cakes, dessert items. And moving further, there are these hot, ready-to-eat meals as well. So I think for around 8 to 9 euros, you can get dishes like chicken, macaroni, mashed potatoes, fried potatoes. They are pretty warm, fresh, and ready to eat straight off the counter, I think. And here there are more items, cakes, along with some cold cut meats over here. And there are everyday essentials like spices. I can see some yogurts here. There are cereals. Over here there is milk, juices, and then there is eggs. And there's a good variety of yogurt, and as I had mentioned already many times, that the milk over here is very good, so you should try that out. And all of these are pretty affordable, I would say. The prices here are fairly aligned with the local economy. It doesn't feel overly expensive, and if you are going to stay in some Airbnbs or you are going to cook yourself, then supermarkets like this are perfect. You can easily pick up your groceries and manage your meals comfortably.
এইটা লেক ইনারি ওই দিকটাতেও ক্রস করে যাওয়া যায়
So now we are going to the souvenir shop, which is right here. Initially we had heard that it was quite expensive inside, so we skipped it and went to Kmart. But since we still had some time, we decided to check it out anyway. And just look at how pretty the outside is. Let's step inside now. Oh wow, there are so many beautiful things.
কি দারুণ কিরম তাহলে কেনাই যায় আমি সেজন্যই এলাম কত কত কিরকম দাম পারফেক্ট দাম কোনো একদমই কিছু না আমি সব দোকানে একই দাম দেখেছি
These are all Christmas tree ornaments, like baubles that you can hang on your tree. I can see some painted balls, bells, so many delicate designs to hang on your tree. And what surprised me is that the prices are not actually high. In fact, compared to all the places like Ranua Zoo and Santa Claus Village, the souvenir here looks much cheaper. Like, look at this collection. Bells, hand-painted balls, and even cute little angels. So my mom is picking up one right now. And look how adorable this is. So there's this section dedicated to angels. I think some are made of glass with really beautiful detailing like this one. Look at this one. Isn't it so pretty? This is even prettier than the previous one. And then you have these nice golden reindeers, so many elves. Like these elves are really cute, very cute, and so many Christmas themed items. Honestly, now I'm just, I don't know why we spend so much time in the supermarket. We should have come here earlier. The variety seems to be huge and the items are really unique, not the usual standard souvenirs which you find at every place. And lots and lots of magnets. Look at this. This reindeer fridge magnet is so pretty. And there's a bell. This one reminds me of Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge bell. It's a bit pricey though, so probably I will skip it for now and wait till we go to Switzerland to pick up the actual thing. But overall, I feel the USP of this shop is how unique the souvenirs are. You'll find a lot of interesting Lapland inspired items over here. I can see so many nice keychains which you can get for gifting to someone. There are so many fridge magnets. Like the collection of fridge magnets is awesome here. Folklore pieces, Sami themed designs, so many things. Look at this fridge magnet shaped like the map of Finland. I really like these kind of souvenirs which has the map. They are really interesting. So maybe I will think of taking this. And this is a soft toy section. These are on the expensive side, so I'm skipping those. I'm really liking the cups that I see on this strip. These are like the enameled cups, really nice but pricey. And they also have similar looking ceramic cups which are very solid and heavy and very good quality. So price wise around 10 to 12 euros, which is high, but since you are getting it from a souvenir shop, so you expect that to be. And you can easily spend 30 minutes or more just browsing around this shop. So many things to see. We could not even go to the other side of the shop. And oh, this one, I really like this. It's a Sari Salka glass igloo magnet, just like the one we stayed in. I think I like it a lot. I'm definitely going to get this. Now, look at this one. This is a really cute one. But since I don't have a Christmas tree, I'll just take photo and video of this particular cup just to remember it. But if you have a Christmas tree, there are so many options here. And as someone who absolutely loves Christmas vibe, this shop is totally my thing. Everything here is too festive and joyful. And look at this globe, like the snow globes, which are lovely, but so much to look at, so little time. And now we need to leave because Shagnik is telling us it's time to leave. We need to head back to the bus. So that was the souvenir shop. Really pretty, really worth a visit. We bought a few things. So from here, if we had time, we would have probably bought some more. And I'm now tempted to cross the road and check out Lake Inari. That's probably the only thing left to do here. Let me just see if everyone is there in the bus or if I have some time. I think I have some time. I'll just walk over. But I really need to be careful because this is really slippery. This is sleet and the surface is quite icy. It's really slippery now.
And this is a hotel, Visit Inari. I think it is Hotel Inari or Visit Inari, not sure. But that's a hotel.
So these are the Tesla EV charging stations here, and this is actually the first time I'm seeing them up close. So it really shows how high the EV adoption rate is in Finland. And people here also get EV incentives like reduced car benefit taxes if they own a electric vehicle, which definitely encourages more people to switch. And I'm also keeping an eye on the bus just to make sure if everyone's back, I need to go. I've asked mom to signal me once everyone is in. And now just look how beautiful this place is. Let's walk a little towards the lake. So from here you can see the wooden piers leading to the lake. And as I mentioned earlier, people do boating in Lake Inari. So these piers are very useful in that case. They can just travel by the boat from here. and it's so pretty. Just enjoy the view. This place honestly is very calm and serene, and if you're planning a stopover somewhere in this region and love lakes, Inari is a lovely option. And if you do stop here, don't miss the souvenir shop right across the road, the one we just visited. It's definitely worth checking out. Alright, I think it's time to head back to the bus now. Most people seem to have already come back and have just been signaled to return. So now I'm just trying to make my way through this slush and snow. Not easy at all, but still trying to manage. We are now starting our journey from Lake Inari, and it's almost 100 kilometers before we reach the Finland Norway border. It's going to be a long drive ahead, and as we move further north, you can already see more and more snow appearing around us. And it's 10 minutes to 12 right now, and it still feels so strange to think that we will only have about 3 hours of daylight left. After that, it will be completely dark. Honestly, unbelievable, right? If you are from a tropical country like India, it's hard to imagine that by 3 p.m. it is night, but that's the reality here. And during this season, the daylight keeps shrinking. Right now, the sun is up roughly from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., and with each passing day, the daylight will even become shorter. And in the distance, you can already spot mountains. As we continue further north, those will slowly turn into snow covered mountains, making the journey even more beautiful. We have now taken a left from the E75 and entered Highway 92, and this road will take us straight all the way to the Finland Norway border. And from here on, this is the route that we'll be following until we cross into Norway. This is the first time on our journey that we are seeing snow settled on the leaves and branches of the trees. It looks absolutely magical. Shagnik was kind enough to give me his seat for some time, so now you can get this front row view. I don't even have words for how beautiful this is. Just enjoy this road.
ওয়ান থিং ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট, যখন বর্ডারটা ক্রস করবে তখন কেউ কোনো ছবি তুলবেন না, ভেতর থেকেও ছবি তুলবেন না। ওদের টেকনোলজি যথেষ্টভাবে সহজে ওরা ধরে নিতে পারবে। আর যদি কোনোরকম পুলিশ যদি মনে করে, সিকিউরিটি কন্ট্রোলে যদি কেউ মনে করে যে বাসটাকে দাঁড় করাবে, আমাদের দেখবে বা পাসপোর্ট দেখবে, সেটা দেখতেই পারে। 99% চান্স নেই দেখার, তবুও 1% রেখে দেওয়া হয়। সো পাসপোর্টটা হ্যান্ড ব্যাগেজে নিশ্চয়ই আছে, সেটা যেন থাকে।
I came back to my seat because Shravani was distributing snacks, something she did every single day throughout the trip. She had carried Indian snacks like thepla, khakra, and more and kept sharing with everyone on the bus. It added a lot of warmth and fun to the journey. Those little moments of munching together really made the trip special.
Don't use any camera, please.
So now we have entered Norge or Norway, and at the moment we are crossing the Anarjokha River. The border crossing was extremely smooth. We barely paused for a couple of seconds before being allowed to pass, and there was no checking at all. Nothing happened except that we were strictly told not to take any pictures. And the interesting thing here is that we crossed the border without even a single stamp on our passport. That's kind of cool. And just like that, we are now in a new country and in a new time zone. So the time difference between India and Norway is now greater than what it was with Finland, which makes you feel how far north you have traveled. So as we enter Norway, the landscape also begins to change gradually. In Finland, much of what we saw was flat land, with mountains appearing only in the distance. But here we will start seeing steeper mountains, dramatic fjords, and much more rugged terrain. The color shift to more grays, greens, those very Nordic tones that define this region. The beautiful serpentine river that you see flowing beside us has been accompanying us for quite a while now, and this is the Karasjokha River, located in Finnmark County in Norway. Finnmark, also known as Finnmarka, is the northernmost region and county of Norway, and a county here is an administrative area that typically is larger than a city but smaller than a state or a province. And this river stretches for about 161 kilometers and flows through several municipalities in this region. It's one of the most important rivers draining into the Finnmark Plateau, also known as the Finnmarksvidda. At the moment, we are still traveling on Highway 92, which runs alongside this river for a long stretch. It's really amazing to notice how dramatically the scenery changed the moment we crossed the border. Just a while ago, the road on both sides was lined up with pine and fir forest, and suddenly, after entering Norway, the landscape has just opened up. Now we are traveling alongside a river, the trees are more scattered and pushed further away, and the mountains have started revealing themselves in the backdrop. Look at those mountains ahead, look at them. They are wrapped in fog and mist with small, beautiful settlements nestled around them. So this feels more cinematic, like stepping into an entirely different world within just a few kilometers. Now we are entering to Karasjok, which is a municipality in Norway, and the population is around 2,500. And probably this is where we are going to have lunch break as well. See, even though if this is a very small municipality with a limited population, just look at how neat, clean, and well organized this town already is. Everything feels so orderly, and I can see the Norwegian flags flying proudly over here. Oh, and now we are passing over a bridge. So we are crossing the Karasjokha River to the other side of the town. I see a gas station now, and I think probably we are going to stop over here for lunch break. So we passed the gas station, and now we are going to a different place. So seems like this place has a little more options. So that's why we are stopping over here. Let's see what we find for lunch.
এটা ভালোই এখানে স্লিপার মানে একটু স্লিপারি
So we have got down from the bus, and now we have to figure out where we want to eat. There are 3 different buildings I can see. One is extra. I think this is like a Kmart that we had earlier left. So might be a supermarket over here. And there are a few others on the left hand side. I think there is a restaurant also. So let's see where we can find some good food.
ওয়াশরুম ক্যাফেতে
So, wherever we stop, especially for lunch, one of the main things we look for is a washroom. We usually stop every 1 or 2 hours, and honestly, a bio break is non negotiable. The supermarket we stopped didn't have any washroom access for everyone, so now we are going to the cafe. And of course, if you are using the cafe washroom, we need to order something. So, we have decided that we will have our lunch here. Let's go inside. And this place actually looks pretty cool. It has that classic roadside cafe vibe, almost like the ones I saw when I used to travel in the US. And there are proper booths. Look at this, like sitting booths, and the ambience is nice. It overall feels quite inviting, and they have some Halloween decorations going on. So I have already placed my order. I went with the fish and chips because everyone else said it was really good. And now I'm checking out the ice cream for my mom because she said she won't be having any food, just ice cream. The flavors seem quite limited and I honestly cannot understand the cost, so I'm going to ask at the counter. And I can see a few other things as well, pies and some other options. There's a board with all the prices, but it's mostly written in the local language, so we don't really understand much of it. I asked the person at the counter and she explained what it was, so we placed the order accordingly. And since we are in Norway, everything is priced in Norwegian krona. The fish and chips cost around 200 krona, which is roughly about 16 euros.
What is the cost for the ice creams?
For the ice cream, 1 second, 39 kron.
39 kron.
Yeah.
Any flavor, right?
Yeah, you can choose any flavor.
And these are gelatos or ice cream?
It's the ice cream. Yeah,
Okay,
but
got
just
it.
only one that is the fruit flavor.
Oh, that's the gelato?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's called gelato, maybe.
Okay, I'll just check. Thank you.
And we are paying for everything in card, no cash at all. It's a completely cashless economy, so pretty convenient that way. And there we go, my food is already here. A couple of others from our group have also ordered the same thing, and it looks interesting. It's not exactly the traditional English fish and chips, but as long as it's fish, I'm happy. Looks like some kind of a white fish, and there's a generous portion of fries too. Overall, looks quite filling. Let's try it out. So this is the fish and chips, and my mom has finally taken the strawberry ice cream. This is very nice. The ice cream is really nice. You might be surprised to see us having ice cream when the temperature outside is sub-zero. But here's the thing, when the weather is really cold, ice cream actually feels amazing. Try it sometime. It doesn't melt easily and somehow it's just nicer to eat in the cold. And fun fact, Finnish people actually love cold water. We have noticed this again and again that they serve cold water with meals and honestly it tastes so good. You have to try it when you are in Finland. First of all, the water here is incredible, and secondly, cold water just goes so well with any kind of a food. And over here, people are just waiting for the coffee. The coffee station is right here, and the nice part is that the coffee is complimentary with your food. You don't have to pay extra for it. If you are taking any other drinks, then you pay separately. I'm pretty much done with my food now, so I'm just walking around the restaurant seeing what everyone's up to. The restaurant is beautifully decorated with the Halloween theme. You can see some pumpkins, skeletons, and all of that, nicely decorated all around. And right now, almost everyone you see here is, from our group. So wherever we go, the whole place just gets filled up by us. And we are all chatting, catching up, and having a good time. Let me step outside for a bit. And that's the rest of our group. Pinakida, Shibajida, Shagnik, Pritijida, everyone is here and seems like they're having a good time out here in the cold. And I just told you some few seconds ago that ice cream doesn't melt in this weather, but it is. And my mother has now come up with a very unique idea, very quietly placing the ice cream in the snow, hoping that it will freeze again. It didn't work, obviously. But science experiments have always been a thing, so why not? Do you hear that crunch under my feet? That's the crunch of hard snow. So this snow isn't fresh, it's hardened now, and honestly it takes me back to the panic I had last night at that gas station. It had started raining and snowing, and everyone was saying that at Sarisalka they would have a lot of snow. I did not have crampons and I was genuinely scared, like thinking, will I be able to walk on the snow? Will I slip? And all that, fear in the mind. But these shoes, like I mentioned yesterday, this pair from Decathlon is honestly a miracle. Like they are not expensive at all, very budget friendly, but the grip is amazing. Right now, I'm actually enjoying walking on the snow. I'm not slipping, I'm not falling. Of course, I still need to be careful, but it feels comfortable and pretty stable. And that's our coach captain, our driver, an absolute gem of a person, and he's driving like a pro on these roads. And this is our coach, Travel Live written over there. It's a Scania bus. It's very comfortable and all the amenities are there. And let's go inside the bus now. So let's find my seat. So we are starting off from this place now, and the meal was really good. I genuinely liked it. I know some of you, especially fellow Indians, might be wondering about lunch. We are so used to having something heavy like roti, chapati, sabzi, rice, especially in the afternoon. But honestly, when you are traveling here, you won't really find Indian food very often, and that's completely okay. So what usually happens is that the breakfast at the hotel is so elaborate and filling that you don't feel hungry easily during the day. And the buffet has so many options that you can eat properly and stay full for a long time. And for those small hunger pangs in between, there are regular breaks at gas stations or small cafes like this where you can grab something light. So nothing heavy, just to keep your day going. And if you're still worried, you can always carry a few things from the breakfast buffet like fruits or cookies. We did that as well, especially from our previous hotel at the Northern Lights Village. So some travelers even make their own sandwich from the breakfast spread and carry it along for later. And we also brought some snacks from India which we kept munching in between and sharing with everyone. Overall, pretty much full throughout the day. So one important tip I would really recommend: carry a refillable water bottle. The water here is extremely pure, and in most places you can drink directly from the tap. There's absolutely no need to buy packaged water bottles. They are expensive and unnecessary. So you can easily refill your bottles during the washroom stops or meal breaks. It's 1:45 p.m. right now, and we are still having around 234 kilometers to go before we reach Honingsvag. And definitely we will have at least one more washroom break on the way, so probably it will take us close to 4 hours from here. And by the time we reach there, it will most likely be dark, which means we will miss the most dramatic fjord views today because there won't be any sunlight. Honestly, there is not much we can do about that, so for now, we will just sit back and enjoy this journey.
বাদিকে দেখতে পাচ্ছেন বরফের মরুভূমি, মনে হচ্ছে যেন ডিউনস।
We have now reached a place called Lakselv, and the time is 2:45 p.m. And Lakselv is the largest village and administrative center of the Porsanger municipality in Finnmark County, Norway. And this village is located at the southern end of the vast Porsanger Fjord. You can instantly feel a change in energy here. Until now, we were mostly seeing scattered houses and long empty stretches, but Lakselv feels lively, bright, and active, and very much like a proper town. I can already spot a few hotels, shops, and buildings around. And Lakselv has a population of roughly 2,300 to 2,500 people spreading across an area of about 2.36 square kilometers. And the E6 highway, which is Norway's main north-south route, runs right through the village, exactly the road we are traveling on right now. There's also a Lakselv airport located on the Banak Peninsula, which connects this region to cities like Tromsø and Alta. And this area is specifically popular for fishing, with salmon, trout, Arctic char attracting anglers throughout the summer months. And honestly, we wanted to stop here because the town looks so pretty. But with a large coach like ours, we are not allowed to stop just at anywhere. So there are designated parking areas or rest areas as per the European road regulations. So for now, we will continue ahead. And if we find a suitable spot later, we will definitely stop and take some pictures. So finally, our wish is granted. We have found a spot where we can park our coach, and we will be getting down and spending some time here, just soaking in these incredible views that you can see.
ঠান্ডা অনুভূত হচ্ছে
জলের কাছে সব জায়গাতেই ঠান্ডা লাগে।
সর্বনাশ
Finally, we are getting a taste of what Arctic wind is. It's terribly cold, you cannot even imagine.
এ বাবা, কাঁপিয়ে দিল। ওরে বাপ রে বাপ, জমে কুলফি হয়ে গেলাম তো 2 সেকেন্ডের মধ্যেই। ওরে বাপ রে, অসাধারণ।
The fjords in front of us are looking absolutely stunning, and this place already feels special.
ওরে বাপ রে।
So we are at one of Norway's scenic rest areas, and there are many such places dotted along the edges of the fjords like this. I'll put the name and the map on the screen because honestly I cannot pronounce it. And this rest area is known for its stunning fjord views, as you can see. But what this place truly offers is the panoramic view of the fjords. You know, you can just see the beautiful fjords till wherever your eyes can, see. And it's more than just a rest stop, it feels like a destination itself. It's purely designed to help you pause and appreciate Norway's breathtaking natural beauty. So this is the Porsanger Fjord, which I just mentioned a few minutes back, and this is incredible. And it's incredibly cold as well. I cannot feel my fingers because I'm holding the camera and I'm not wearing a glove, so I'm freezing. But this view is to die for, literally.
My goodness, this is so amazing. This is absolutely amazing.
Think of fjords as nature's dramatic artwork. Thousands of years ago, giant glaciers moved slowly through the land, carving deep, narrow valleys as they went. And when the ice finally melted, the sea rushed in and filled those valleys. What remained were those stunning stretches of water surrounded by towering mountains. That's what a fjord is. And Norway is called the land of fjords because its coastline is shaped almost entirely by them, with hundreds of fjords cutting deep into the country. They don't just decorate the landscape, they define it.
হাওয়াটা দিচ্ছে তার জন্য আসলে সবার বেশি ঠান্ডা লাগে। টেম্পারেচার 1 ডিগ্রি সেলসিয়াস অবশ্যই আমরা এই টেম্পারেচারে হাওয়াটার জন্য সমস্যাটা হচ্ছে আর কিছু না।
And then Shagnik decided to put on a little performance for the camera.
আসবে তো সাউন্ড?
আসলে দেখা যাক যতটা।
I saw a piece of heaven. দাঁড়াও একবার শুট স্টার্ট। I saw a piece of heaven waiting impatient for me.
And just like that, our short stop at the scenic rest stops came to an end. We are now back on the bus, continuing the rest of our journey towards Honensberg. What's hard to wrap your head around is that it's only 3 pm and yet it's already dark outside. The sun has set and everything around us has slipped into an evening mode. We can barely see much outside now as we are passing the fringes of another small town somewhere in the same region. So, this stop was unplanned, but honestly, it turned out to be such a beautiful moment. And I understand why this place is a designated rest stop because the views were absolutely breathtaking and perfect for taking a little break from driving through such a long stretch. So it was completely worth stopping for. And as we are moving ahead, it's getting harder to capture the surroundings on the camera. Our eyes can still make out the shapes and the silhouettes, but the camera struggles in this darkness. Still, I'll try to capture as much as possible. Finally, we have stopped for a restroom break because, as I mentioned yesterday, finding a washroom for such a big group is not easy at all. And the place we have stopped is completely deserted. Absolutely no one around. So, out of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, we are now going to a restroom facility in Norway. And at first glance, it looked like there were 3 restrooms because we saw 3 doors, but then Shagni clarified that the middle one wasn't a washroom at all. It was actually a recycling and waste emptying station. So in reality, we had only 2 usable restrooms for 41 people. And that's when the hilarious situation began. One of the doors wasn't locking properly, so there was also this fear that if someone gets locked in, they might not be able to unlock it again. And since this is so isolated place, no one wanted to get into a risk of getting stuck inside a washroom in the middle of nowhere. So basically now, anyone who is going inside, someone from outside is literally holding the door for them. And a simple washroom break turned into a full-blown comedy situation. And honestly, this is something that can only happen on a group trip. I just realized that. We are now passing through the North Cape Tunnel, a 6.9 kilometer long tunnel that connects the Norwegian mainland to the island of Mageroa. And we are traveling on E69 highway, which itself includes almost 5 tunnels like this along the route. So here's the truly fascinating part. The tunnel runs beneath the Barents Sea. Yes, we are literally traveling under the sea right now, and it reaches up to depths of 696 feet below the sea level. It's an absolute marvel of engineering. And to ensure safety inside such a long tunnel, you will notice powerful ventilation fans installed in the ceilings at regular intervals, continuously circulating fresh air so there is no risk of suffocation. So this tunnel had opened in the year 1999, and the North Cape Tunnel is one of Norway's longest and northernmost subsea tunnels, and it even features automatic ice prevention gates during the winter months.
তো আমরা চলে এসেছি হনিন্সবার্গ। আপনারা দেখতে পাচ্ছেন সুন্দর একদম ছোট্ট একটা জায়গা। সাধারণত গ্রুপ ট্রাভেল এখানে হয় না। ম্যাক্সিমাম যে বাড়িগুলো দেখছেন সেগুলো রেসিডেন্সিয়াল বসতি, যাদের বসতি আছে, এবং যারা নর্থ কেপ দেখতে আসে অনেকেই ডে ট্যুর করে নর্থ কেপ দেখে চলে যায়। এবং অনেক এখানে বাড়ি আছে যেগুলো এয়ারবিএনবি কিংবা হোমস্টে এই জিনিসগুলো রয়েছে। তো অদ্ভুত একটা জায়গায় আমরা পৌঁছাচ্ছি এখন।
গুগলে দেখাচ্ছে যে 70.98 ল্যাটিটিউডে হনিন্সবার্গ, আর কালকে যাব 71.14।
We have reached our hotel, The View, and you can see part of the town on the right hand side. It's not a very big hotel, but it still looks quite pretty from outside. So now we are entering the View lobby, and this hotel feels quite quaint and pretty. There are no frills, nothing fancy, but it has a nice charm to it. Just look at this landscaping. It's simply very pleasing. And the time right now is 6:55 p.m. We are waiting in the lobby after parking our suitcases here as instructed. The hotel is spread across 2 to 3 floors and they have very limited staff. Normally, the guests are expected to carry their own luggage to their rooms. However, since our group includes many elderly travelers, Travel Live has arranged porter services, paying extra for it. So, the hotel staff will carry one piece of luggage per person to the rooms, and we need to just identify which suitcase belongs to us. Any hand baggage, though, we have to carry ourselves, which is quite fair. And right now we are waiting for our room allocation. Honestly, wherever we go, the place instantly fills up, and just look at how many tourists we are. And our suitcases are just delivered on our floor. So basically, I mean the lady who carried our suitcase was very frail looking, but she effortlessly picked up both our suitcases and carried them up to the first floor while smiling. So that's woman power. So these people are incredibly helpful, and she was very, very, friendly. So very nice start to the stay. Here we are, room number 209. This is our room, and this is our key card. My mother is trying to open the door, and of course, it's not working. I don't know why, but throughout this entire trip, we are facing so many keycard issues. First in the train, now in this place. So somehow there's always a problem. Let me look into it. Finally, we are inside the room now. It's a simple hotel room, not 5-star luxury, but it's neat, clean, and well maintained. And we have 2 single beds, making it a twin room. So let me give you a quick room tour. These are the beds, very minimalistic, very Nordic in design. You can see some paintings on the wall. Honestly, it feels like stepping into an IKEA catalog, like very minimalistic and clean design. Simple lighting, nothing excessive. It is very good. And this is the window. Let's see what is the view. So we can see part of the town from here. And later we had realized that the same view is from the terrace as well. So the room is quite spacious for a basic category, comfortable, uncluttered, and practical. One thing I must mention, now let me show you the washroom. So one thing I forgot to mention at the Santa Claus Village, the bathroom has heated floors, which is such a relief in this cold climate, and you don't feel the chill at all while using the washroom. So this is a very compact washroom. The shower area is also compact but fully functional. Hot and cold water available 24/7. Towels, charging points, everything you need is provided. And here we have some storage area as well. Since we are just staying here for the night, we won't be unpacking much, and the room is just perfect for us. We just had started unpacking and changing into our comfortable home clothes for the night when suddenly a message popped up on our group chat. Shravani called me and said the northern lights are visible. Come quickly, and trust me, you just can't rush out the moment you hear that. It's kind of cold, you need to gear up properly. So somehow in a hurry, I threw on my jacket, pulled my beanie, grabbed my camera and ran up to the terrace. And this is what we saw. Unbelievable. The aurora was literally bursting across the sky right in front of us, and this is hands down one of the most intense aurora displayed that we have witnessed on this trip. What makes it even more surreal is that it's just as bright to the naked eye as it appears on the camera. We could see it clearly, vividly dancing across the sky at this moment. And just a few minutes ago, it wasn't this strong. Then suddenly, what they say happened, the auroras just opened up. It exploded into motion and color. And whatever you are seeing here right now is captured on my basic phone camera, a Xiaomi, not even an iPhone. That's how strong the display is. And I'll be adding photos and a time lapse as well, so that you can truly see how magical the moment is and what kind of pictures came out from our cameras and phones. This is really unreal and without a doubt one of the best auroras in this entire trip. after that absolutely spellbinding Aurora experience, we were almost forced, quite unwillingly, to come down for dinner because the restaurant was about to close. And it's already around 7:45 p.m. right now, and the closing time was approaching fast. So, yes, we had to tear ourselves away from the terrace, leaving that dancing lights behind and head down to eat. So, dinner thankfully is amazing. They had beautifully cooked some salmon fillet in a deep, rich butter sauce, which I have taken along with some bread. Since I love fish, the salmon was an obvious choice for me. And there are mashed potatoes on my plate, which were decent, some salad, and a light soup as well. There's also some cake, but honestly, I'm not feeling hungry much because between the excitement of the Aurora and the long day, our appetite had taken a back seat. There's no rice on my plate, but still, this fish and mashed potatoes were quite filling in themselves. So, this is my dinner, very simple but comforting. And what an incredible day it has been. The entire journey through the highways of Finland and Norway was stunning. The experience is unforgettable, and the food here is lovely. So, as we are wrapping up dinner, I still can't get over how magical today was. And tomorrow is going to be yet another exciting and much awaited day. We will be visiting the North Cape, one of the highlights of this entire itinerary. So, see you tomorrow. Stay happy. If you like my content, do follow, comment, and I'll catch you in the next one.